So do you find him attractive?
He's chunk.
Sorry, no.
No.
Why say no though?
Even guys who understand the look scale often struggle to give accurate face ratings, particularly when it comes to themselves. The case we saw earlier is quite evident to anyone watching this channel. The person in the photo is masculine and strong, but not beautiful or handsome. This makes him appeal to the male gaze rather than the female gaze. However, this isn't the only mistake guys make when rating others. Let's consider a quick example. Please rate this guy on a scale from 1 to 10. I assume you chose 6, placing him in the high tier of the normie category. Now, you can delve deeper and evaluate if he falls on the upper end of the category or if he's a lower high-tier normie. In this case, he would likely score between 5.75 and 6. If you arrived at a different result, please let me know in the comments. Why might someone come to a different conclusion? One common mistake is not distinguishing between the average face and the face of the average person. The average face is usually perfectly symmetrical and has good facial ratios. However, the face of the average normie you see walking around the streets has at least one flaw. The average normie doesn't have the average face. This illustration shows the average Russian face. The ratios aren't terrible, but if we randomly selected 100 Russian soldiers from this brigade, none of them would have a face that perfectly resembles the average. Almost every person has at least one facial flaw. Having a flaw doesn't instantly make you a low-tier normie. But even more importantly, not having a major flaw doesn't automatically make you a Chad or Chadlite. Even a perfectly symmetrical face with good ratios isn't highly attractive. There's more to beauty than just being within the average range. For example, most people have a perfectly average interpupillary distance, yet they're not automatically good-looking. People often overestimate the significance of symmetry and standard ratios. There's no single, perfect face or ratio. Harmony, age, and appeal are subjective and cannot be quantified mathematically. Different proportions can be visually appealing when they harmonize. It seems that the more autistic a person is, the more they focus on ratios. However, these facial ratios aren't fixed, they're just a broad range within which most attractive individuals fall. You can usually tell within a fraction of a second if a face is attractive or not. It's only after the fact that people attempt to make sense of it by measuring ratios. If you don't have this initial instinct, measuring faces will lead you nowhere. Nevertheless, obsessing over ratios is by far not the sole factor contributing to inaccurate scores. The most common mistake is factoring in additional information. I sent the same picture to several people on Discord and provided different information in the message. He was marketed to one group as a tall, imposing figure, while another group thought he was a short, awkward individual who struggled to attract women. Afterward, I asked them to rate the face solely. Naturally, the individuals who perceived him as a slayer gave him a higher face rating. These are the common errors people make when evaluating others, but rating oneself is even more challenging. For once, you're simply too accustomed to looking at yourself. This can be partially corrected by using a mirrored image of your face. You're not accustomed to seeing your reflection, so it's easier to provide an accurate rating. Other fallacies include choosing pictures with good lighting or favorable angles. As evident in this video, the appearance of hollow cheeks is highly dependent on lighting, yet most people don't adjust for it in their ratings. Rating oneself can be disheartening for some individuals because, unfortunately, not everyone possesses desirable features. A common question I receive is whether a passport photo accurately represents one's appearance. In my opinion, your passport picture is one of the best to rate your own face because it's less susceptible to fraud. However, some people actually look much better in motion than in pictures, so this could be a coping mechanism for you if you don't like to look at your ID card's picture. It's important to note that the look scale isn't a bell curve, it's not equally distributed. Some people say to me, I'm not a 4, that's impossible. If I am a 4, that would mean 70% of my classmates are 4s. While it's possible that 70% of your classmates are actually a 4, the rating reflects the distance from your face to someone like Damien Cater. It's also possible that there aren't any Chads in your class. People with exceptionally good faces are rare. And even those with potential to score high often don't achieve their full looks potential due to factors like being chubby or covering their jawlines with beards. Lastly, let's address the elephant in the room. The black pill has historically struggled to accurately rate guys without strong masculine features. When the inkwell community began, people sought male models as references for attractive faces. Male models are undoubtedly attractive, but the beauty standard in the model industry doesn't fully encompass what girls find appealing. For instance, Justin Bieber could never have been a male model, yet he had an immense amount of fangirls. There are numerous TikTok compilations comparing BTS members to Indian guys, with some arguing that the Indian guy is more attractive. However, this is simply a coping mechanism. It's up to females to decide who is attractive. Just because an Indian guy has masculine features doesn't mean he stops being Indian. Can you imagine the Indian guy in a romance movie? Why do you think the guys in female-targeted movies look this way? Here's a test to see if you can rate realistically. Take this guy, for example. If you think this guy mogs the other two guys shown here, you're probably coping. Men vastly overestimate masculine features and cope when it comes to skin, harmony, or phenotypes. No guy of Indian ethnicity will ever mog a tall, white guy with a surfer boy phenotype. People often deny phenotypes for good reasons. They don't want to offend a large portion of their audience, they want to monetize their content, or they've been online for too long. Women are attracted to masculine-looking faces like this one. Not to random Indian guys, having some good features. If we could start the black pill community from scratch, many mistakes could have been avoided. The most significant mistake was not differentiating between the men that young women are interested in and the men that older women are interested in. This error can never be corrected. Another mistake was to only really focus on movies at the beginning of this community. Many guys showed clips from movies in which a female actor says something that could be interpreted as a black pill. However, most movies are written by men, so they don't reflect reality. It was only when TikTok became popular that people really noticed what women are all about.
Größer, ist wirklich 1,73.
Tall, pretty boys for the most part. Okay, without further ado, here's a realistic male look scale.
Wait a minute. I'm white.
Glaubst du, startet das menschliche Leben? Ab welchem Moment?
Ihr seid die Stützen der Gesellschaft. Ihr seid die größten Ehrenmänner.
That looks fine. What kind of bagel?
Oh, it's on.